the 26th of May in the year 2000. Were you born here in Lufkin?
Yeah, right down here on the corner.
How far away is that? A quarter mile? 100 yards?
How far is it?
About a quarter mile.
About a quarter mile.
And who built that house?
My daddy.
So he was pretty good at building things?
Yeah, he sawed the lumber and he had the sawmill.
So he ran a sawmill?
Yeah. So he cut the lumber and he planed it, and he done all of it. He done the.
Was that normal? Is that how most people built their houses?
I don't think so. I think most people just went out. Well, I know they did. Just he went a little further by cutting the timber and everything to build it with.
Do you know where he learned that trade?
No, I don't.
Was
He was working on the railroad when him and Mama met.
Uh-huh. What was he doing for the railroad?
Working on the road part, I guess. He was on a. They said he was on a.
Building trestles.
But he was on a, what do they call them, carts? You know, that they used to take people that worked on the roads, that the went the little motor car. And I guess that's what they were doing, was building trestle.
Was
It was something on the track.
Was that here in this area?
No, it was up in Nacogdoches.
Okay.
He was out in front of where Mom was raised.
Is that how they met?
Yeah.
He was.
Her and two of her cousins went and taken them some water.
Which two cousins?
They were Barry cousins.
Barry. Okay. And your dad just thought, hey, here's this pretty lady, I think I'll marry her, or,
I don't know.
or was it the other way around?
I never did. I never did hear that much about it.
Okay. Did your dad stay working for the railroad, or did he run the sawmill when you were growing up?
No, he quit and left Nacogdoches, and they come down here and bought this land. And there, in the house we was living in, it was a bungalow type, and Daddy had built a room on the side of it. And then we lived in that. I was 17 when I was 17 the 12th September, and we moved in. No, I was 16. No, I was 17. Because my birthday was 12th September. And we moved in the house in October. And I graduated the next spring from high school.
Did you have a bedroom to yourself?
No. There was too many of us.
How many of you had to share a room?
About 4.
What, a girl's room and a guy's room?
Well, the way the houses was built back then, they had 2 front doors. That had 2 front doors. And it was not too long before Daddy started building a new one. There was no snake. Chicken snake got up in there, and it would come out and stick its head out between the 2 front doors. It would scare you to death. But chicken snake don't hurt you. But I don't know where the snake went to finally. But
you didn't try to catch it?
Yeah, they were gonna kill it, but every time they'd see the thing, you couldn't go around with the gun all the time. And every time they'd see it, time they'd get a gun, it'd be gone.
Oh. What were your parents like?
Well, I don't know. They just.
Did they have much time to spend with you when you were a child, or did they play with you?
Not that much, cause there's too many. There was 7 of us.
Uh-huh.
My mama really, they would have been 11 if they'd all lived. I lost a brother when he was 17. He died with pneumonia.
And what was his name?
Hal.
Okay.
And he got taken the chicken pox. He didn't break out real good. And then he got up out of the bed and went to help cut some fireplace wood.
Mm-hmm.
Because people just had fireplaces to warm by then. And he'd taken pneumonia. And they had a nurse out there with him for 4 days and nights. But he passed away anyway. Dr. Gandy was a doctor. And then little Jim, he was 2 when he died. And then she had twin boys that were born dead. So there was 7 of us that lived to be grown. And, well, you might say Hal was grown because he was 17 when he died. And that was in 29.
And so where do you fit in all those 11?
I'm the 3rd one. I've got 2 brothers younger than myself. I had 4 sisters, and they were all older than myself.
Okay.
And they all died in the 50s.
Were you close enough in age to play with them when you were young, or?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of
It was
game?
about 2 years apart, 2 or 3.
What kind of games did you play as a child?
Well, we played Annie Over. You know what that is?
I have no idea what Annie Over is.
You know, well, you played ball with a ball, and you chunk it over the house. And if they caught it, well, they'd come try to get you out. They'd try to hit you, and if they hit you, you was out of the game.
Okay.
And we played hopscotch. And we played jacks. We played washers. And have you ever played Mama Peg?
I don't think so. The name's familiar. I'm not sure what it is.
Take a knife and flipped it over.
Okay.
And if you lost that in that game, you had to take your nose and root out a peg.
It's like something to not lose at.
And
Were you good at it?
no, not that good at it. I was better at jacks than I was anything. I like to play jacks. I don't think kids play jacks that much anymore. They have them around, I know.
I played when I had them.
You did.
Not a whole lot, but some.
Uh-huh. And we jumped the rope.
What kind of chores did you have when you were a kid?
Oh, we'd have to bring in water. We had to draw water from the well, cistern. And we'd have to bring in wood at times. And we used to have the shell, the corn for the chickens every evening. And we had to shuck enough corn for the the mules while we was at it. And Daddy, he was a pretty good farmer because I don't never remember us running out of corn. Now the weevils might get in it pretty bad, but we always had corn from one time to the next. In fact, it's back in the PW, what was that called? PWA.
WPA?
WPA, what is, all the people around went kindly, and the government would give you flour, but my daddy wasn't gonna go get none. We eat cornbread for breakfast. And now I'm allergic to it, and told somebody I guess I ate too much corn while I was growing up.
And all your cornbread was from your corn that you'd grown yourself?
Yeah, just about a mile up the road there's a Mr. Willie Massengill that he ground cornmeal for everybody in the countryside. Everybody that bring it to him.
How did you travel in those days? Did you have a car or?
Walked and you went in the wagon. No, in 29, that depression, my daddy just paid $500, I think it was, or $300 or something for a brand new Ford. And then when that depression come on, well, he jacked it up on blocks and went back to the wagon. Wasn't anybody driving car then.
Uh-huh. Was the depression hard on your family?
Yeah, but I don't remember a whole lot about it. I was 5, I guess, when it started. And, yeah, but we had about as much as anybody else did.
Still kept having plenty of food, I guess?
Yeah, yeah.
Growing it yourself?
My first son, brother-in-law said that everybody in the community come to our house to eat. Yeah, we had plenty of food. As I said, Dad was a good farmer. He always, I don't never remember, you know, not having butter and milk and syrup. He'd make usually about 350 gallons of syrup. And that'd last you from one making to the next. And you might not have had what you wanted. And sweet potatoes, we had plenty of sweet potatoes. As long as they'd keep, we had sweet potatoes. And Mama, after she'd baked the bread, it was a wooden stove, and after she had baked the bread baked, well, she would have a big dish pan full of sweet potatoes washed, and so she'd just throw them in the bottom of the stove. You didn't put them in no pan or anything. Now, you know, I put them in the pan now to keep messing the stove up.
Right.
But then with the wood stove and everything, it'd burn off. And so she baked potatoes for all the school kids. Everybody would stop and get a potato every evening. That went on down past our house. And so she kept all the school kids in sweet potatoes every day.
Was your mother a good cook?
Yeah, she was.
What were the favorite dishes that she cooked that you remember?
I don't know, I like kraut and wheat. I didn't know it was a German dish until after I was not married, though. And he said, I cook just like a German.
So she cooked like a German?
Yeah, she cooked like a German.
Did she?
Her grandma, what is her name? Charlotte. She was, Mom said she was more of a mother to her than she was a grandmother. Her daddy killed this man over some land. They was having problems with some land or something. Somebody said it was over gambling. I don't know really what it was about. You never have read it, have you? I've got a piece in there I'll get you unless you read it. And he was a Rivers.
Where was he from?
His folks lived in Pennsylvania, so I guess I don't know how him and Grandma met, but I guess Mom said after he left, Grandpa left, he told her to have him enough food for 3 days, to last him 3 days, and a fresh horse down at the back of the field. And when she did, and he rode off, and she never did hear from him or see him anything after that. And so Mama said that her grandma was her mama instead of her grandma, because Grandma was in the field plowing and raising something to eat. And her grandmother taught her how to sew and cook and do house chores.
Did you know any of your grandparents when you were growing up?
No, I never did see any of them.
Did you know any aunts and uncles?
Yeah. Yeah, Daddy had 2. He had a brother and a sister. And my mama had 2 brothers.
What were your dad's brothers and sisters' names?
Tom, Uncle Tom, and Aunt Dora.
Okay. Where did they live at?
In Trinity County.
Trinity County?
Mm-hmm. They all come from Trinity County.
Were they married?
Yes. But Aunt Dora and Uncle Dot never did having children, and Uncle Tom had a bunch of them, about like Daddy. I just don't know how many he had, but he had quite a few. We went over there, after I got bigger, we went over there. They started having a birthday dinner every year for him. And so everybody in the family that could would go. And so they had that until he died. And I remember several times going over there.
Did you keep up with those kinfolks at all over the years?
Yeah, yeah.
Are they still over there?
Yes. Their kids are.
Uh-huh.
Their grandkids.
They still live in Trinity County?
Yeah.
Okay.
And most of them do. Now, Uncle Tom's youngest son, he went to Houston. He raised his family in Houston.
Uh-huh.
And, but they still have a Goodman reunion over there every year.
Uh-huh.
We didn't go last year. And, but Robley and Mitty went. and but we had been the year before. And the last one of Uncle Tom's children, she was, I guess, in her 90s. I don't remember just how old later was, but she was. She died here. Hadn't been too long ago. Kind of in the spring, like.
Do you know where the Goodmans came from before they settled around here?
No, I don't know. I never hear that much about it. Dad never would. He never did talk a whole lot. And I don't know. I wasn't even born when Grandma died. She had got a skin cancer.
That was your dad's mother?
Yeah, and Mama said that Daddy went over there and put screens on the house to keep the flies and stuff off, because it just kind of eat a hole in her face before she passed away with it. But she died of that skin cancer.
Where was she living at?
In Trinity County.
In Trinity County, too?
He'd ride a horse.
Did you ride a horse when you were growing up?
Oh yeah, yeah. We had an old, I don't know, we had this old mule named Jack, and he didn't care for us riding him, but when he got tired, he'd go under a shed, he'd go under a tree limb, he'd go under anything he could.
Scrape you off
of his back.
Oh.
Daddy finally had him put to sleep. He got rheumatism in his back legs, and he couldn't walk hardly. And so he had the veterinary come out here and put him to sleep.
What school did you go to when you were growing up?
Biloxi.
Where is that at from here?
I went to the 7th grade, and then from 7th grade we had a bus running then, and we rode the bus on into Lufkin. Biloxi School was just, coming out here, do you remember going around this sharp curve and there's a pond right out here? Okay, there was one house, that first house was there, the other two wasn't there. And right up on top of that hill is where the schoolhouse was.
Okay. What was your favorite subject in school?
I don't know if I had a favorite subject.
Hey, what was your least favorite subject?
I don't know if I had a least one either. I just remember studying, and I guess really I enjoyed spelling about as much as any, because on Fridays we'd have what's called a spelling match. And there was 3 grades to the room, and maybe each grade you'd line up against the wall, on one wall, one on another. And the teacher would give you out words, and of course when you missed you had to sit down and see who. I never was the last one to sit down.
Right. Were either of your parents the kind that told stories? Did either of them tell you stories when you were growing up?
No.
What did you do for family recreation?
Oh, goodness. I don't know, the whole bunch just kind of would move in. I know we had an Easter egg hunt. Maybe several families would get together and have a Easter egg hunt. Somebody go hide the eggs. I know one time they hid them down at Little Flock Church, and we all walked down there and hunted them, and adults and all hunted. And we used to make candy, and we popped popcorn, and we played cards.
What card games did you play?
Oh, shoot. I can't think of the names of them now.
Okay. Did y'all have a radio with your family?
We had a radio back during, we got one. back during World War II. And it was what they call a battery radio. 'Cause we didn't get electricity out here until it was after the war was over, about 41, I guess, somewhere along in there. And because we run the dairy, and we had these lamps that you could hang on the wall. And we instead of having a refrigerator, we had what's called an ice box. And
right.
I delivered the milk. I started driving when I was 14. And because my sister older than me, she went to Port Arthur and went to work. And so I would deliver the milk and go on to school. And come back, and I'd have to, when I come back, well, I'd have to get 150 pounds of ice, because you had to put water and ice in what they call an aerator, a big thing that the milk run down over to cool it, and you had to have ice in that. There used to be a lot of people buried down here at Rocky Springs, and the Gibson boys, they would come, and the oldest one, he used to stop every time he had a funeral down here. He'd stop by and just get a glass and just drink that milk. Coming running off of that cold ice. Well, it was cold, and he done that several times.
Did you ever take a vacation as a family?
No.
Did you travel anywhere outside of the area?
No.
Had your parents ever lived outside of this area, besides Nacogdoches?
No. Well, yeah, they did. They lived in Port Arthur when he was working on the railroad, right after they married.
How did y'all meet each other?
Through one of his first cousin's daughter.
What was her name?
Pauline Red.
How old were you?
I guess about 20. Almost 21.
And what did y'all think of each other when you first met? Did you say, oh, this is the person I want to marry?
No.
No, I stood her up the first night, our first date.
Why?
I had to work, and I run a radiator shop then, and we had to do some extra work, and I didn't get out till late, so she's already gone to bed. So I stood her up the first date we had.
But it wasn't intentional?
No, it
No,
wasn't intentional.
If it had been, I wouldn't have gone with him no more.
Okay. So how long did y'all go together before you got married?
I guess about October to August.
October to August. About 6 months, something like that.
And how long did it take until you knew that you wanted to marry each other?
About that long.
Really, I had never thought about that.
About that long.
What kind of things did y'all do together in those days?
Went to show.
That's about the only thing to do around here is show about that time.
Where was that? Downtown Lufkin?
Yeah.
It had drive-ins and things. And that was all.
What year was that?
46,
Okay. So right after the war?
right after the war.
Did you serve in the war, Otis?
Yeah, I spent almost 4 years overseas.
You got down pat. 3 years, 9 months, and 21 days.
Where did you serve?
Over in, well, I went first to Glasgow, Scotland, from there to down through England, then to North Africa, across North Africa, wound up in Sicily, then into Italy.
So you were under Mark Clark and that crowd?
No, I was in attached to the 15th Air Force, and I was in the 814th Engineer Aviation Battalion. We built airfields.
Okay. Was that a hard job?
But yeah,
He said they had these planks of steel. They weighed about 100 pounds apiece. And you'd have to pick up 2 at a time and carry them. So, it was a pretty hard job.
Well, that was only at times. Most of the times, it's the first of it all through Africa. We worked with a fighter jets, little fighter plane. All we do is just grade off the runway, just grade it off. They use dirt runways. But then when we got to Italy, well, we had to use steel runways, and that was a pretty hard job to keep those up. Planes would come in, those propellers would turn, tear the steel up, and we had to go out and replace that before the rest of it come in. It was a taxing job, all right.
Were the enemy trying to bomb the airfields too?
Oh, we've had it several that, yeah.
Did you learn anything useful for later in life while you were in the service?
I don't know. I guess I learned to take orders, and I've been taking them for 54 years now.
Yeah.
So y'all got married in 46?
Yeah.
What church did you get married in?
We didn't get married in no church.
Okay, where did you get married?
People didn't get, they didn't get married in churches then, hardly. I guess rich people did.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know of anybody that growed up with me that got married in the church. You just went to the preacher's house or had him come to yours.
Right. Are the Kendricks lived in Lufkin area for a long time, or where are they from?
No, we moved down to Huntington from Nacogdoches in 1932.
Uh-huh.
And I finished school there in 37. Went back and went to work at Nacogdoches and worked there until the Army drafted me in 41. And then when I come back, my dad was living in Lufkin. His home burned. And he was working for the city, so I went back to Nacogdoches, and they didn't offer me anything hardly where I was working. And so I come back in, got in the radiator business by chance. I don't know, and we spent 40 years at it.
Where was your dad raised?
And
Nacogdoches.
he was raised in Nacogdoches County.
Okay. Were his parents raised there too, or do you know?
No, they come from Alabama.
I thought
Georgia, I guess, in that area over there.
Right.
I don't know much about my kinfolks. My grandfather and his two brothers settled in around, one of them in St. Augustine and one of them in Melrose, and one of them just upper Melrose Road. And that's all I know of them.
Did you know your grandparents when you were growing up?
I knew yeah. Of course, my grandmother died when I was pretty young, and I think I was around 5 or 6 years old when she died. But grandfather, I guess, was about 8, somewhere thereabout, when he died.
Yeah, 'cause you was already in school, riding your Shetland pony.
Yeah.
Did both?
My grandfather had a long beard down way like this.
Uh-huh.
He really had a bit. He liked to drink that buttermilk, and I mean, it was all over his face.
Did y'all grow up going to church when you were young?
Yeah, I did. I joined the church when I was about 14.
Which church was that?
Lala Hill Baptist Church,
Uh-huh.
down about 5 miles south of Huntington.
Uh-huh.
We walked to Macedonia up here where that church is,
Yep.
up here. And then there was one, Little Flock, that was Macedonia, and Little Flock was it was closer than this one up here was to us. But when they had revivals, we went to both of them.
Both Baptist?
Yeah.
What kind of Baptist?
Well, one was a missionary Baptist, and the other was a
Southern Baptist.
Southern Baptist.
Okay.
And that's the kind of church we go to now, Southern
Uh-huh.
Baptist. But I was baptized in a missionary Baptist.
Uh-huh. And the Southern Baptist took that?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I know they get a little picky sometimes.
Yeah, there wasn't anything said about it. Well, I guess because Ruby and Chet come from a missionary Baptist too. They come from Ruby and Chet Jones.
Oh, yeah.
They come from Harmony Hill, and they were missionary Baptists.
What kind of...
We're not that strict anymore.
Uh-huh. What kind of spiritual heritage do you want to pass on to your kids and your grandkids and the succeeding generations?
I hope we've passed one along.
I hope that we've helped them out, and I think we have. We're very, very proud of them. We've just had a boy and a girl, and so far everything's been going mighty nice.
Harold and Sharon's got 3 girls. 2 of them's married now.
Mm-hmm.
And Martha and Alan's got a boy and a girl. And the girl's supposed to get married the 10th of June, so.
We're going to know how old to leave here the 8th, go up there for a wedding for her. So they're all getting married now. We'll have 2 single left.
Well, Tyson will be, actually he'll be 21 in the 18th of November, and Tyson will be 22 the 17th of November. And I don't know just how long he hadn't been. I think he's been taking about 15 hours in a semester. His daddy said he wasn't no hurry to get out, so. I don't guess the way he talked, he wasn't no hurry for him to get out. But this makes his 3rd year. I mean, he's already finished his 3rd year. He'll be starting his 4th one in September or August, whenever they start.
Any last words you'd like to share? Or any questions I should have asked that I didn't?
I think you pretty well covered it, Father. I don't know. We've just lived a pretty happy life. 54 years of it.
Yeah, I told me if they put anything on my tombstone, say that I'd had a good life.
The picture of John Franklin Goodman when he was a young
This
man.
picture right here was taken over there where all the subbies are buried, and they're all right there.
And,
This is Frank Rivers.